Recording in progress.
Welcome to the public portion of the Chatham Township Committee meeting on December 13th, 2022. Can we all rise for a pledge of allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay. First off this evening, I want to acknowledge this is Committeewoman Celeste Fondaco's last meeting as a committeewoman. Celeste is a third-generation township resident. She was one of the starting members of our Open Space Committee, as well as a past member of the Tree Committee and the Chatham Emergency Squad. She is a past president of the Art League of the Chathams and Drew Art Association. She continued her volunteer efforts serving as a member of this committee for the past 3 years and acted as liaisons to the Environmental Commission, Open Space Committee, Historical Society, and Public Works. Her dedication to our community will always be admired and appreciated. Thank you, Celeste, for your commitment to supporting Chatham Township. I believe Committeewoman Ewald would also like to say some words.
Yes, and you took many of the long list of Celeste's accomplishments out of my mouth. But, you know, Celeste, I wanted to thank you for your 3 years on the Township Committee and for your decades of service to Chatham Township, to our residents, to our community. The mayor had mentioned a number of them. And in addition to all her contributions to the community, people don't know that Celeste has also run 70 ultramarathons in her lifetime, which she started at the age of 40. So definitely somebody to be admired for her resilience and stepping up at on the Township Committee and taking on all that she did is just amazing. She also, as a marathon runner, helped, she was a running guide for a blind runner who was training for the Special Olympics. I mean, that's the type of person Celeste is, and I've had the privilege of door knocking with her many times, and I can't tell you how many people she's, you know, brought cookies or brought food products to. She finds out somebody's, you know, lonely because they're suddenly widowed, and they're on her cookie list. So she's always bringing food to our DPW and to our police, so they love her as well. And she knows just about everybody in town. I mean, you door knock, and half of them she's related to, and the other half know her from one of the activities that she's involved in. So thank you very much, Celeste, for your service to our community.
Am I supposed to say something? I just want to correct you on one thing.
Oh.
I didn't run 70 ultramarathons. I only ran 35 ultras, and all the rest were just marathons.
Just marathon.
Oh my goodness.
Man.
And I also want to mention that I was always happy that Stacy voted before me on this committee, because then I knew how I should vote if I had any questions or thoughts about it. And I appreciate everything. I've met a lot of nice people here. I think I made some new friends. Maybe I lost some friends, I'm not sure. But anyway, thank you all for this recognition.
And I think we have something that we wanted to present to you. Is it just me? Or are we all? Can we all sit down? Why don't you come down too so we can get a picture?
For me?
Yeah, you.
Should we bring the flowers down?
Well,
Ready? Come down.
Yeah, where's Ed?
That's why this is for you.
Both of us here.
Okay.
You're better than Ed and,
It's a to move on to the approval of the consent agenda. Does anybody want to pull anything out?
Just payment of bills.
All right. Can I get a motion to approve the consent agenda with the resolution 305 pulled out?
So moved.
Is there a second? All right. Do we vote on this? All in favor?
Aye.
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 All right. Now go on to the committee reports. Committeewoman Ewald?
Okay, so the senior center had two holiday parties these last 2 weeks. I was pleased to be able to help out, and Committeewoman Fondaco joined me as well this week to help out. They did a really great job. If you missed out, there's still more holiday fun to have. Tomorrow is cookie decorating at 11, and they have a welcome winter chocolate fondue party next Wednesday, the 21st at 1 p.m. They will be closed starting Friday, December 23rd, and we will reopen it Monday, January 2nd. So hopefully you can take advantage of some of the things they have to offer before they're closed for the holidays. Also, Madison Chatham Coalition had their meeting today, and a couple of things came up that I wanted to mention. First of all, they brought up the discussion, Madison had a vote last night on whether or not to allow medical marijuana facility to open, which medical marijuana is allowed on their books, but I guess the applicant was very honest and said that the economics, once recreational marijuana facilities begin to open, that the economics would require them to be able to provide. So they were looking eventually to provide recreational marijuana as well. And this is like, a block away from Chatham Borough. So their committee, their council fully voted that down. Even though most people do support medical marijuana, there were concerns. There were concerns about the financials, but there were also concerns about their interest in pursuing recreational marijuana.
Oh, it was voted down?
It was voted down unanimously.
I didn't realize that.
Yeah.
Wow.
The other thing I like to mention whenever I hear good tips, and they did have a speaker, there is our school district, they're continuing to see increases in anxiety and how that plays out in the students. And oftentimes, use of substances is correlated to anxiety. So they had a speaker today that was talking about the health benefits of nose breathing, which sounds like an odd concept, but there are health benefits, and there are benefits when it comes to managing anxiety. So I encourage residents to take a look. They had a whole discussion today at the meeting, but I definitely encourage residents, if they have concerns or if they don't, to look up the benefits of nose breathing. And that's it.
That's fascinating, because I was actually reading an article about that, I think yesterday, so. That's
the health benefits. It was at the Madison Chatham Coalition, but it's related to anxiety.
No, that's interesting to me.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's very interesting.
Yeah.
So you'll have to tell me the next meeting, because that sounds good. All right, Committeewoman Fondaco.
I kind of neglected my duties tonight. Let me think now. The Art League had their reception on Sunday, and it was very successful. I happened to sell a painting. And I'm sure the DPW is doing what they always do, doing a fine job. And I think that's all I have today.
Great. Committeewoman Lois.
Okay, just one report from the utilities. The waivers for our upcoming fiber optic network, I'd been asking for waivers for the utility pole attachments, and the JCP&L has said to us that they're still looking through their ARP and available grants to see what they can do to distinguish our community from other communities, so that this request is not automatically replicated de facto because they've given it to us. So that's an ongoing process. That's about it.
Thank you. Deputy Mayor Hamilton.
Thank you. Well, in the interest of the holiday spirit, I won't harp too much on crime like I always do, but I will say that there was more than one, situations involving our police and in direct contact with thieves or attempted thieves with regard to automobiles since our last meeting. And so this is our bi-weekly or monthly reminder to be on the lookout for that. Make sure your cars are locked, make sure your houses are locked, as we talked about at the last meeting. and make sure that you're keeping your eyes peeled and don't be shy about calling something in if anything looks suspicious. As far as the library goes, interestingly enough, Stacy, I was recently informed that I regret that I didn't report on this too much in advance, but I'm happy to report on the recent success of the library's the completion of their initial wellness program, which ran from August until December, and they offered a variety of services at the library specific to anxiety issues and various disciplines, including yoga, meditation, and Tai Chi, and all reports are it was very successful and well attended, and it's going to be something they're going to try and duplicate next year. So that's pretty much all I got, other than to just take this opportunity to thank my friend Celeste for her service to the community. As you know, we don't agree on everything, but you also know I'm not a mean person.
Thank you. All right, I guess we are going to move on to the first hearing of citizens. All right, actually, I'm gonna pick a better one. Currently, the committee meeting room is open to the public, and we look forward to having you join us. Additionally, this meeting is being made available for public participation remotely. If you're watching via Zoom, you may speak during the public comment session by following the Zoom instructions to raise your hand, whether in person or online. When you're recognized to speak, please say your name, spell your last name, and give your street. As a reminder, all public comments will be limited to 3 minutes. Rather than use any of your time answering questions, we will wait until you finish speaking before responding. Each member of the public will be limited to one comment during the public comment period. Written comments submitted to the Township Clerk before 3 p.m. today will be read during the public comment sessions. Written comments are subject to the same guidelines as oral comments. Duplicative written comments may be summarized rather than read in full, according to guidelines issued by the New Jersey Division of Local Government Services. Do we have any written comments?
Yes, actually, we do.
Okay.
Committeewoman Celeste Fondaco, thank you for your years of service to the Chatham Township community. You've always been there for us, whether it was open space, tree protection, and now the Township Committee. I commend you on your commitment and hard work on behalf of all Chatham Township residents. Your efforts are so appreciated. Thank you for all you have and continue to do. Sincerely, Susan Hogue.
Okay. Anybody from the audience?
Good evening, my name is Stuart Carr, C-A-R-R, 3 Crestwood Drive in Chatham Township. Again, I echo everybody else's comments concerning Ms. Fondaco for taking the time to do that. Also want to thank the 4 people who ran for committee, Ms. Flynn and Mr. Rubino and Ms. Ewald and Mr. Troy, and congratulations to the victors, but again, a lot better process having 2 forwards to the people running so terrific. Thank you, everybody, for taking the time to do this.
All right. 2 things for Mr. Shahadi. A couple of things we've had email-wise. Just wanted to double-check on timing for getting a copy of debt service schedule and related all-in cost of borrowing and true interest cost information concerning the April 2022 bond transaction. That's information that we have here internally with the CFO or presumably with the Phoenix Advisory Group. So just wanted to double-check on timing for getting that information. So if you could, let me know whatever your convenience on that. And then number 2, courtesy Mr. Lois got some information on the Corona State and Local Fiscal Recovery Funds issue and a comment they made back in March. And Ms. Mayor Felice indicated that we, I guess, couldn't be lowering the taxes or the tax rate given the fact that we got some coronavirus relief funds. And it appears in the language that if you do certain things that you could, in fact, get the relief funds and still be able to lower taxes and lower tax rates. And I asked Mr. Shahadi if he could check on that also, just so we can clarify that. Again, it's an academic matter at this point, but since we made that comment, and I think Mr. Lois had the same view that we couldn't lower the tax rates or lower taxes because of the fact we received those funds, that this language here on page 41 of this document appears to say otherwise. So maybe I'm missing it, so maybe either Ms. King or Councilor King could clarify that at some point, just so we have that on the record. Thank you.
Yeah, I mean, I could take a shot at that last question, if that's okay. It's my understanding that the you can't use the federal funds to lower the tax rate to alleviate the operating budget to lower the tax rate. But anything you fund with grant money alleviates the tax burden to residents. So the idea is when you have a capital project instead, that you're not lessening the operating expenses of the budget and thereby more directly impacting the rate. So the fact that we're using those funds for the municipal building roof, you know, clearly the residents aren't paying for that, but it's because it's a capital project, it's not direct. So that is my understanding from asking the auditors how it works. So yes, we're, at the end of the day, you can relieve, you can't directly relieve, I would say, the operating budget for residents, but it's relieving, you know, the tax rate either way. Does that make sense?
Yes, well, we've talked about that. I just want to make sure we get that squared away. But basically, if we have a certain set of line items, and we say we're going to cut 3 FTEs last year versus this year, then we could theoretically lower the rate there, irrespective of what happens on the coronavirus. And that's what my understanding is.
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
There we go. That's all I wanted. Okay. So are we clear? Are we in agreement with that? That's all I was getting at last March, and we said we couldn't do that, but actually we can. If we were to show.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes, that doesn't mean you can never cut the rate. If you have
No.
justification to cut the rate on that side, yes.
Okay. So that's what I asked last March, and I didn't get that same answer.
They are mutually exclusive,
Okay.
is my understanding.
So now we have that clarified. So thank you.
Well, I was directly invoked there. Do you mind, ask
Sure.
the chair? Okay. So, what I said was that at that time, in March, I said that was part of it, and what I would say to you now is that that money was held for the roof and has yet to be expended in its total. So what we would be left with is a situation where we would be justifying spending that money, and we would have to go back and somehow justify that if we did reduce the taxes at that point, then that money was in fact not from the roof. And I think just from your exchange with Committeewoman Ewald just now, you could see that it's pretty nebulous. So I still am not convinced that, I wouldn't be convinced that, number one, that I committed to saying what you said I said, and number two,
You sent me this document, so I'm just reading it. Okay, if you cut expenses.
All right, we don't go back.
That's what I'm saying. Okay, but in any case, we want to make sure we get that clarified.
So my statement in March, right, and you know I've exchanged emails with you, so, but then the other part of that, of course, is that those grant funds haven't been expended yet. So I don't see, you know, where the timing is in this tax cut and the expend of those funds.
If we'd have cut $400,000 of expenses.
We don't go back
Okay.
and forth.
W-
So
Anyway.
we're gonna have to move on. Is there?
Thank you, we'll get there.
anybody else?
Appreciate it very much.
Hi, Jessica Romeo, Pine Street, last name's Romeo. I just want to thank Celeste for everything she's done for this community the past 3 years, but, you know, her entire life in Chatham Township. Anytime you need someone to come and fill her truck up with flowers from the Great Swamp Watershed Sale, store them in her garage so residents can pick them up, Celeste is there. My kids and I have found some of our favorite top secret hikes throughout New Jersey because of Celeste. You taught my cousin how to be a beekeeper. Anything you need, Celeste is there for you. And I know you're not going to be sitting up there, but we're still going to be tapping into you for things like the Environmental Commission. So just thank you, Celeste, for always being a friend, a good steward of this community. I don't know if most people know, but I think Shunpike went from 4 lanes to 2 lanes because of you. That's a huge deal. And so thank you. We appreciate you.
Thank you.
Phil Uncle, G Road. I'm sorry, Celeste, I'm just going to pile on, so. Listen, a lot of people have said a lot of great things about your service to the community, so I won't repeat all of them. First, I would take more than 3 minutes, but also because other people have said some very kind things already. From my side, I kind of knew that you'd run all those marathons, and so that explains to me a lot. What I take away from your time that we've worked together is your unfailing desire to go and to meet voters all over Chatham election season. And to me, that's a sign of a true committee member that we can all respect and admire, who takes the time every election, whether she's running or not, to knock on doors and to hear from the community. And that to me is what I will take away and what I'm most proud of you of. So thank you for your service.
Hi, Jen McNally, 100 Noe Avenue, and I should have gone first or last on this, right? So, well, thank you all so much for what you said about Celeste. I just want to say thank you, Celeste, as well for your service. And the story about the running brought up a funny, quick story when we were out campaigning and canvassing when the guy was running by us. And he said, if you can only talk to me about your campaign if you run with me. And she said, sure. So Celeste started running. He's like, are you a runner? And then you told him you'd run the ultra marathons and the marathon, and he was training for his first marathon. And then he stopped and actually talked to us. So that was a great memory. And your commitment to the community, your commitment to Chatham is unheralded. You are involved with so many great things, and I knew, you know, from before when you were a beekeeper and all the different environmental things that you'd done. And it wasn't until I came down to the Township building, probably 4 or 5 years ago, I didn't realize your art talent too. So I said, there's no way that's Celeste painting. I think I first met you. So you have so many great talents, and you share them with all of your friends and in the community so kindly and so generously all the time. And you did come and plant the milkweed in my yard because you knew I would never know how to do it. So the butterflies, thank you as well. But thank you for your service and your commitment and your passion and your compassion to everyone. You've taught us all so much. Thank you very much. Thanks. And I know these are cut flowers, but these are for you. You can't replant them.
Thank you. Anyone else? All right, is there anybody on Zoom?
No raised hands.
All right, well then I will close this hearing of citizens and move on to the final, or I guess the public hearing for the adoption of the ordinances. So we're going to open up the hearing of citizens on ordinance 2022-13 film permits. Anyone? Anyone online? Oh, is there a motion? I have to first have a motion for that. It's the public hearing first, right? That's what I thought. Okay, is there anyone online? No. All right, so I'm gonna close public hearing on the film permits ordinance. And can I get a motion to adopt?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Okay. Any last discussions? All right, can we get a vote?
Mrs. Ewald?
Yes.
Mrs. Fondaco?
Yes.
Mr. Lois?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Hamilton?
Yes.
And Mayor Felice?
Yes.
Motion passes.
All right, now I'm gonna move on to the hearing, the public hearing of citizens on the bond ordinance. Anybody? Anybody online? All right, I'm gonna close the public hearing on the bond ordinance. And can I get a motion to adopt ordinance
So moved.
2022-16, sorry, bond ordinance?
So moved.
All right, is, any last discussions?
I'll just say that I appreciate the commitment that we've had and some consensus that I've been part of to make a minimum 20% down payment and make that our minimum effort going forward. And with that, that makes me feel much more comfortable about this bond ordinance and the way that it's written. So I appreciate that consensus from the committee.
Mr. Shoddy, can you just for the last time before we went on this, describe, you know, the specifics of the ordinance as far as the minimum upfront payment in connection with
Just so I'm clear, Committee, you're asking as far as what's in this ordinance? Yes.
what the ordinance provides as far as the down payment.
Correct. So the ordinance as introduced right now and as scheduled for adoption right now includes a $100,000 down payment, which is what's bringing the loan amount, which is the full amount of $2 million down to 1.9. But the intent is, through some ordinances that exist related to affordable housing at the moment, that we've identified, that being, 2 ordinances for acquisition of property that have been completed, those transactions are done, we're able to bring in about another $300 and about $2,000. That once we can cancel those in January and free up those balances, will help to then reduce the amount that we need to finance this, which essentially function as a down payment, but cannot be put in this ordinance as such until that process is complete.
Thank you. That's all I want to clarify, just, you know, make the statement for the record that, you know, I agree with Committeeman Lois that the ordinance as drafted is hopefully gonna be passed. I intend to vote for it. But with the very clear intent that notwithstanding the minimum 5% number, it would certainly be our preference that when the time comes for actual bonding, that subject to these funds being available, that we would like to see that kind of down payment, or potentially even more, depending on what can be discovered.
Sounds good. Can we get a roll call?
Mrs. Ewald?
Yes.
Mrs. Fondaco?
Yes.
Mr. Lois?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Hamilton?
Yes.
And Mayor Fleece.
Yes.
Motion passes.
All right, and let's move on to the consent agenda with the payment of bills removed. Can I get a motion to approve?
Second.
And a roll call?
Mrs. Ewald?
Yes.
Mrs. Fondaco?
Yes.
Mr. Lois?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Hamilton?
Yes.
And Mayor Fleece.
Yes.
Motion passes.
And, okay, resolution 2022-305, payment of bills. Can I get a motion to adopt?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Is there discussion?
Yeah, I just wanted to ask Mr. Chadi that if you had received my, you know, desired corrections, modifications to this payment of bills, and if those looked acceptable.
Excuse me, sorry, Commissioner. I believe I did. I saw it towards the later part of the day. Did not get a chance to review in depth, but I think your point was that some of those charges should be to JRAC, but similar to this bill list and previous ones, they don't get charged to JRAC. We submit for reimbursement afterwards. So that is the intent with those and any other relevant charges.
Okay, well, there are items in the payment of bills that are listed to JRAC, but I also had some that are listed to open space, so, and there clearly it says, you know, the line item will say, pressure-treated lumber for Nashville dugouts. Clearly in our open space, you know, that's.
So the things that you're seeing that are put to JRAC, that's our local JRAC account. That's not actually the JRAC account. Those are we're still paying for them out of pocket because we have to charge them, pay for them, get them, and then we submit reimbursement to the borough for that, and then we replenish those line items. So wherever they're charged, whether it's JRAC in our budget, open space in our budget, or DPW in our budget, or admin in our budget, that's just where we're charging it because we need to encumber funds. They then get reimbursed, JRAC through the borough.
No, I
and then-
understand, but
right,
that's
so
not the
that's
case
what-
for the open space, and that's not the case for open space. And
Correct.
there are items in there that were from, so.
But they can
Are you
also be
seeing-
charged to JRAC as well.
Okay, and that's from my email.
Yep.
So what I'm trying to what I'm trying to get to here is just simply, you've received those requests, and I guess this goes to the greater question, which is just, you know, I appreciate that I received the bill list on Friday. I wish that we had a little more time than just, you know, one business day Monday to review it and then kind of shuffle something off to you, and then you guys get a chance to maybe look at it, maybe not, and I don't, you know, seeing that we bring on somebody to help in finance, going forward, will there be a way that we can move that back a few business days, so we might have 5 days, 6 days, maybe a week with the payment of bills to review the list? I think it's somewhat reasonable, but if it's not, let me know.
We'll look at whether we can do that.
Okay.
Can I get a roll call?
Mrs. Ewald?
Yes.
Mrs. Fondaco?
Yes.
Mr. Lois?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Hamilton?
Yes.
And Mayor Fleece.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Okay, and we're moving on to our final hearing of citizens, which does not appear to be on the agenda, but that's okay. Anybody want to speak? Is there anybody on Zoom?
Nope.
All right, then I will close the hearing of citizens. And I guess we are not having a final executive session? No. Okay, then can I get a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second? Oh,
Second.
yep, all in favor?
Aye.
Thank you very much, have a good holiday, have a good break, and everything else.
Oh, yeah. Have a Merry Christmas. And Hanukkah's in there, yeah.
I'll come back and pick up some.